self-realization coach. So tonight I thought I'd come on here. Like I said, I'm a mind coach. It's reading my algorithm. I want to thank all of you who subscribed so that we can create this algorithm and that you continue, to support this channel. I thank you for those who've subscribed way back, for those who've subscribed recently, and those who will subscribe in the future. Tonight we're going to talk about understanding and struggling with lack mentality. A lot of times it's hard. We talked about default settings, last week, and we talked about, are you worrying about things, wallowing in it, or working on it? These are default settings. And so thank you for that, And so, I thought we could expand upon that this week and talk about that. As always, if you all have any subjects or topics you specifically, hey Pam, I did get the fairy back. Well, I had so much fun watching the video that you posted on Instagram. How exciting. It was a wonderful day. I felt so much love. It was so good to get those hugs because some people I know, but I hadn't got to actually have those hugs with. Thank you for all those hearts, darling. And so it was amazing. It was a great day. I'm going to sleep well tonight because I am exhausted. But it was so much fun. I felt so much love, and I'm so grateful I got to get those hugs. Those were amazing hugs. And I had not gotten to see Steve and Jessica and actually hug them, though I know them. So it was great. And Christina, it was good to see her. Sherry, I've gotten a hug on her before, but it's always good to get more hugs. So I am filled with love. I can't say that I'm not. I am filled with love. It was a great time. So I'm so grateful that I got to do that today. So I'm glad also, thank you. Again, I was telling people, I thank you so much for subscribing and participating because I seen you, or bringing your views up too. It's so hard to get the views because, used to people were buying people on here and I didn't buy anybody on here, because that was something that I committed to. Hey, Brandon, how are you? Something that I committed to, so easy before, when I got on here is that I want people to come to be on this algorithm, to come here because they want to be. I'm not trying to buy people to make money because I set an intention. Would it be nice to get monetized? Yes. But is that the intention that I set? Because what I want is to create an environment, to create this place to where people can feel safe and to have learn how to manage in their central nervous systems with all this information that's being brought to people to realize some of the thoughts that we think, because I help people organize their thoughts and decorate their perspectives. So some of the thoughts that we think that are no longer serving us, that we claim are our reality, we talked about. Oh, thank you very much, TTY123. I appreciate you. Thank you. So, creating our reality. So I hope, and I'm so grateful for you all being here, and I hope that something that I say tonight, because when I set my intentions today, Deepak, hello. So I'm always hoping that I'll be able to help at least one person, because whoever you are, if I help you, you are important, and that's how I set my intention before I get on here. That's the intention I set. So we're going to talk about understanding and struggling with lack mentality. Right, you've been growing organically over 2 years, and I heard people have bought subs and pay with gifts to get watch hours. Yeah, I want watch hours, but I'm not trying to buy it because, it makes it harder for other people. Like right now, you and I could get the subs up there, but the watch time is hard to get. It's the watch time. So thank you all for being here, and if you can watch all the way through, I appreciate you for however you support this channel. So thank you so much. We're going to talk about the understanding and struggling with lack mentality. I know this is something that I have worked on for very long time. And so, I've been talking about the last 2 weeks. Yes, the way it is your struggle too. I know I saw that the other day and I thought, oh yeah, the struggle is real. So is this struggling with lack mentality, thinking that we don't have. And chasing. See, that's one sign of lack mentality. If we don't know what lack mentality is sometimes even in our own lack mentality is that we feel like we're not doing something good enough. So as always, I did my writing here, and then I have a summary. the bottom of this. And I may get to that Friday night. I don't know how we're going to do this. We'll just see how this flows and goes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for subbing. And thank you for watching. And yeah. So we talked about the default settings last week, right? And this is what we don't even know last weekend. This is these settings that we have where we think that this is our lot in life, that this is our reality, and that everything's going to stay this way forever. And that's not necessarily the case. So many of us struggle with lack, and I'm not trying to deny reality. I'm not trying to say that we don't experience lack, because everything goes up and comes back down and goes up and comes back down. Our breath, our heartbeats. And so life on life's terms, when I'm talking about life on life's terms, lack and abundance go up and down occasionally. I have not experienced where I stay abundant all the time or in lack all the time myself, but I did learn that the less energy I give to lack, the less I'm chasing other things, that I understand, that it's going to come back and that I'm not chasing. And certainly chasing doesn't keep it going, because when we chase something, it's going to run, right? So I'm only trying to remind us not to reinforce that belief that paralyzes us, that keeps us stuck in lack. So what is lack mentality? For if you don't know, what is lack mentality? It's something that I've struggled with also. So it can be, present with love. It can be present with money. It can be present with friends and opportunities. Sometimes we just feel like we keep missing those opportunities. Sometimes we feel left out with our friends, even when we are not left out. Sometimes we don't even know when they don't invite us to something. We've said we don't like to do that, so they don't invite us, so then we still feel in lack, right? So that's lack mentality, is when, we're looking for not to have. And we don't even realize we're looking not to have. We just keep focusing on that, though. That's lack mentality. And wherever your energy, your attention goes, your energy flows. And so energy is a real thing. And so lack comes from not having, okay? And that pain of not having can keep us stuck in a spiral that is hopeful of coming out of. We're just hoping we can get out of it, but we don't know how, is all. But the feeling keeps coming up. And so the fear of the other shoe falling is part of that feeling that keeps coming up when we're stuck in that lack mentality, is we're afraid for things to be good. So we're always, hi Marisol, hello. So we're always giving energy to the fear of when the shoe falls, when things are good. So that's kind of lack mentality too, without us realizing that that's lack mentality. Because we don't struggle with that fear when we understand that things go up and they come down, and we're not waiting for it, or we're not anticipating it. We're just enjoying the moment. And the problem with lack mentality is we just don't enjoy the moment, right? Is we just lose the moments because we're afraid of it going away. So, like I said, it's not just from money, although people bring that up a lot. It's not just money. See, sometimes when we're stuck on one loop of lack, it affects the other loops, the friends, the opportunities. And so it just comes from the not having and the pain of not having that keeps us stuck in that spiral. So we will be seeking the evidence that lack is there, is what we do. Is we're like, oh, well, yeah, but yeah, well, all these things, because we're stubbed up, we're just stopped up, we're afraid that, to enjoy and to keep excelling. So sometimes we even sabotage. So in our fear of being good enough, of our fear of thriving. So is the fear of happiness and joy being taken away? That's what we get afraid of, right? Is if we're having happiness and joy, we're afraid it's going to be taken away. And if so, it may come from the expectation of something always happening. And it may have at one time. I'm not saying that something didn't happen at one time, but we don't have to have that mentality that it's always going to happen. When we don't give, hey, no dear, nurture pop, it's about what we give energy to. If we can enjoy things, the longer we're enjoying things, the better we're going to feel. So it's about our feelings too. It's about not being so much in our mind with the fear that's creating the negative feelings, but to be able to feel the feelings and be present in the moment, because then we're going to feel like we're creating more than we're just thinking, you're sorry. What are you sorry for? Thank you for the hearts. So, you know, talking about the lack mentality, it comes up in different ways. So, changing our neural pathways, we need to be aware that we have the lack mentality and these fears and why we have them, and that's awareness. And awareness is what? The remover of obstacles. So, I've worked with people who hoarded as a sign of lack, and it's common. So, I hear that the clients that collected these things had plans for these things, right? There's plans for these things. Thank you for the hearts. And so sometimes I've gone in and they were able to get these things on sale. So they have a bunch of things that they got on sale that they wanted to gift, but they never gifted. I've gone into places where some of it comes from the pain of not having. So, one place I went in, that she had magazines wall to wall and books, because she wasn't allowed to have magazines and books growing up. And one place, that I was in, they had a lot of sheets and towels, because sheets and towels were hard to come by in their past. And so they were collecting all these things, and the fear of lack and the fear of not having, those things stuck out to them. Oh, thank you, Nadir. I appreciate that. So, thank you. So these are people trying to hold on onto things without the realization of what they're holding on to mentally and emotionally with holding on to these things. Of course, there's things about, and they feel scattered and they feel embarrassed, because I know that I've walked in and sometimes people are like, are you scared? And I'm like, no. But I do have problems. I've been in places where they had 5 closets of clothes, and I threw a ripped blazer in the trash, and they went and got it out of the trash after I left. And it's an attachment. And so we have to work with what mentally and emotionally is attached to this. And a lot of us hold on to things with attachment. I'm not saying that everybody has lack mentality that does. And I'm not saying, if it's not if you can still walk around in your house and stuff, I'm not to say I'm not trying to make people minimalist. I would consider myself a mediumist myself. I have a lot of things, but anyway, it's just, are we having the fear is what I'm talking about here. So the fear of losing it, will never be enough. The plan to wear, give things away, and gift and make projects, and fear even after a long while of letting go of these things that we have plans for. We need to look at the experience, that we're trying to heal or hold on to. What is the experience that needs to be healed that we're holding on to? The pain of healing from not being able to have the books, the experience, of not being able to have, maybe if we grew up and we had lack, the experience of buying things because we can now, but maybe we buy too much when we get bored because we don't want to deal with pain of whatever else is happening, because shopping can be an addiction too. So if we grew up with a lack of money, we may overspend because we couldn't before, right? So I know I did. And for me, it was because I could escape and feel better if I bought something, if I felt bad, right? Unseen or unheard. Because in my marriage, I would get mad and he would yell at me, and I didn't have, hi, stay out of my fridge. No, dear, how can I find a beautiful woman like you in my city? No, you're the only one. Where are you at, no, dear? Where are you at? So, you can find a beautiful woman. She's probably right around the corner. Have you thought about the qualities that you want in a woman? This is what I suggest to people, male, female, is to write down the qualities that you want in that person. Because if we're just like hunting for somebody, we don't know if we're going to be compatible with them. That's what I've learned. And so for me to know if I'm going to be, my relationships where I'm just physically attracted to somebody, they haven't lasted. And even sometimes I settled, talking about the lack mentality. Sometimes I settled because I was afraid of asking for what I wanted in a relationship. The thing is when I wrote down what I wanted, I don't navigate from that. So I'm not in a relationship, but I'm not navigating and settling either and getting heartbroken a lot. What is my name? My name is Stacy Renee. So yeah, you can find a woman, but I hope that she'll have some compatibility qualities too. Thank you. Thank you, ABC. I appreciate that. So, looking for those qualities because I know what I have gained in my recovery process. There's some virtues, and I talk about this sometimes, is that just the ability to suit up and show up, because sometimes I haven't wanted to suit up and show up in my own fears about things back in the day, I would be afraid to suit up and show up. But once I started suiting up and show up, whether I wanted to or not, what I developed was some dependability. I developed that value of dependability, which then turned into a virtue of integrity. So I'm grateful that I get to have integrity. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. So if we grew up with that lack mentality, if it was taught to us, because some of us did learn lack mentality. Some people learn lack mentality because their parents grew up in the Depression, or grandparents, grew up in the Depression, when there was a lack of money, truly. And so they did hold on to things. But I've talked to you about a lack of relationship too, of thinking we're never going to find that one, and that if we're just searching for anybody, we're going to get just anybody. I did that, and then comments are neck, adjust camera. Okay, well, anyways, I don't understand. Thank you for those hearts. So, I could escape if I bought something sometimes in my lack, that I was looking for something outside of me to make me feel better inside. You know what I mean? Retail therapy is what they call that. So I'm still healing lack mentality. It comes from things that my parents innocently said. They didn't say anything like that to harm me. You're 29. Would I marry you? I'm not married. I'm young, strong, and handsome. That's awesome. I'm afraid that you need to find someone closer to 29. Yeah, I'm not close to 29 anymore. Heart is flying many times for you. Thank you, ABC. I love the hearts. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. This is the Grinch. The Grinch. Hi, Mary Luna Botanics. So, we're talking about lack, understanding and struggling with lack mentality. A lot of people don't even know that it is lack mentality. I didn't know what lack mentality was until somebody told me what it was, because I just thought I could never. That was part of my lack mentality saying is I can never, this always, these kind of things. So it comes from things my parents innocently said, and they're trying to protect me from their pain, right? They're trying to protect me from their pain. That's what a lot of parents do because they didn't know any better. I'm 40,000 years, that's a lot of zeros, years old, and I'm going to die in 5 hours. Aw, no, you're not. No, you're not. Graceful and gorgeous. I just love that. Thank you, ABC. It was the stories that they were told and the stories that were told to them. And my mama used to say, sometimes want in one hand and what in the other. So, we got afraid of asking for something or, these kind of things. I'm not saying that we didn't get things, because we did get things, but it's this dialogue. And sometimes we just tell ourselves money doesn't grow on trees. We hear all the manifestors tell us that. And I heard that too growing up, Where'd my hearts go? So, anyway, there they are. Thank you. So the pain and their pain, and I did it too with my children, is I didn't want my children to experience my pain, so I did all kinds of things trying to strategize. And then I finally heard something that said, my pain isn't my children's pain. And I'm like, oh, my pain is not my children's pain. That I give them my pain if I'm trying to protect them from my pain, but they didn't have my pain, just like us. We were talked about, if you didn't catch any of my live the other day, was that we were talking about this concept of God or source. And I'm not, this isn't a religious thing, but the thing is that a lot of us, that would be what a God would be considered, because when we were born, our parents are caretakers from 1 to 12. If we had consistency from then, if we didn't have consistency, then we're probably insecure, which also can bring about lack, because that fear drives a lot of lack. The fear of, I've never had this or I never had that. And so we keep searching for this or that. But even when we get it, we may not realize it if we haven't healed the pain. That's all I'm saying. So this QA sticker pops up here. Y'all ever talk about this? It says, thunderstorms scary, yes or no? And they can be, but I like thunderstorms. Why is your bird bald at the bottom? I'm sorry, I'm listening. It's just sometimes I notice. It's okay, Sebastian. I probably need to get my bird some hormones. My bird has been plucking probably since, and it gets worse and worse as the years go. And I didn't want to give my bird hormones when my bird was younger, but the bird is 10 years old now, so it would probably be okay. But I don't like to put things in, my body or the bird's body unless they absolutely need it. And the vet wasn't too concerned. But the bird gets bored. Some birds pluck because, some birds pluck because they live in flocks, right? So they're always jacking, messing with each other all day. Well, this bird only has me. So if I'm not around, this bird is bored, and this bird will pluck when it's bored. Sometimes it plucks anyway. It's a habit now. Just like smoking cigarettes is for people, this bird likes to pluck. So energy. They have a lot of energy, so it might need hormones. The hormones can stop them from plucking. So I think in the next 3 months, I'll go get hormones. So you checked my pictures post? Well, thank you. Thank you. If you want to watch my videos, that would help a great deal, ABC, on watch time, because that's the thing, is I need more watch time. But I do this, actually, I hope that whatever I share tonight helps one person. Maybe it'll help you. So I got my notes here, but I am looking at these compliments. Thank you so much. All right. So it comes from things our parents or caregivers may innocently say, and they're trying to protect us from their pain, and the pain still shining through. There were things that we heard that we could not unhear. There's things that we just hear that we can't unhear. And so the stories our parents make up without realizing that that's not our reality. My mom told a story about she and my dad getting along better before, when they had no money, when they were younger and had no money. Then when they got money, they fought. But when I did the reality check, it's like, no, they fought even when they didn't have money. They fought when they did have money. So sometimes we tell ourselves these stories and rationalizing and justifying. But they fought if they did have money, and they fought if they didn't. So sometimes, though, we romanticize the idea of not even having money. My great-grandma lived as a pauper. She gave all her money to her church. And so sometimes we just think that we're not supposed to have money, punished by money, if it's money. Relationships. Sometimes people think that if they have money, they can't have a relationship. If I put myself into my work, then I can't have a good relationship. If I put myself into this, then I can't have this. We think that one thing may take away from another. I'm not saying everybody has that feelings, but sometimes people do. And that's not if whoever your source is or that's meant for us. There's no law that says that. So, both of my parents were just really insecure. They got married at 16 and 18. I was born when they were 18 and 20, and so they were really insecure. And that can bring about lack mentality also, insecurity, and that young, being young, because we think, I know when I was young, I thought, I'd never get this. I'd never get what I want. Even, when I had kids, sometimes it'd be like, I can't get what I want. These kids would, teasing with me. But anyway, so they were both trying to escape something in their home lives. And my parents getting married that young, they were both trying to escape something in their home lives, that they did not get to heal. And this is what's called transgenerational trauma, is when we carry this trauma, whatever it is, and trauma can be something small because some of us just, however, it affects our life deeply. So some people are afraid of abandonment. When we're insecure, that's definitely a fear of abandonment. So my parents were young and immature, so they carried this transgenerational trauma because they got married so young. They were in love, but they also had terrible home lives that they were trying to escape from. You know what I mean? So, and then we try to do better than our parents. And that's what creates that transgenerational trauma sometimes, and not always, because sometimes we do learn. So, why we do that, but it says, wait, I lost my spot. And then our kids don't even appreciate it. We don't appreciate it when we're having to heal from somebody else's pain that we didn't even have to begin with. My kids don't appreciate it. My daughter don't appreciate it. And we won't, because why? Because it's not our pain. That's why we don't appreciate it. It's the child's pain, and not the parent tries to heal them from something that we needed to heal ourselves. As a parent, that we need to heal our pains ourselves. And I finally got it after a period of time. So I'm lucky that I had resources, and I tried to allow my kids their own autonomy. My parents didn't have the resources, so we got to own some of their stuff, and my kids did too. I used to tell my kids, I hope that you heal from the things that I did wrong, and I hope that you expand on the things that I did right, because as parents we all make mistakes. My parents didn't know some of the things that they got to, that they didn't until, unless they were to get to heal from them, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes they may heal through us. So I honestly believe that they did try to do better. I think that all of our parents try to do better. I think that they're trying, but sometimes we just didn't know how. And that, like I said, it's the resource thing. That's why I like to get on here and do these videos, is that this is a free resource. I am a coach, and I do charge for coaching. If you want to pay a coach and have individual, sessions, then please feel free to look for my email. But, and I have programs and workshops and things, but I want to help you still yet if you're just on here and you're struggling with this and maybe don't even know you're struggling with it, because some of the things I struggled with I didn't know, and there's nothing wrong with you. I know that I thought I was stupid sometimes. Hi, Brody. I would be down on myself and I would think I was stupid. I would think I wasn't good enough, but that's not true at all. You were born worthy, darling. And talking about this concept of source, and then our parents or our caretakers being our first source, that was like our gods, because we didn't know. We knew that we come out worthy, valuable, and divine, and we had the nerve to be playful like kids and to be like, hey, look at me. And then somebody's like, shh, shh. And whatever it was, that stuff that shut us down. So we didn't embarrass our parents or something. You know what I mean? Based on their trauma. Maybe they didn't get seen and heard. Some of them were taught, you're to be seen and not heard. Some of them were taught money doesn't grow on trees. These things that get passed down from generation to generation. And it's not that anyone was trying to be mean to anybody, or hurt anybody. It's just that we don't know what we know until we know. So I hope that this, whatever I'm saying tonight, will help somebody else to say, aha, it's just a learned behavior, and I can unlearn these behaviors. Brody, I'm trading a 1.1 lava looking for a base dragon username. Okay. Well, good luck. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that something I say will help you. So let me find my notes, because I do read what y'all say. This is why I have notes, is because so I can read what you say, and I love to be able to talk with you. And then I'm going to go back to my notes. So here's the deal. I know that my ex-husband and I both tried to do the best that we could with our kids. So we cannot blame our parents after we're grown adults. It's not, we can't just keep blaming them for our problems. We are fortunate there are too many resources for us to stay stuck. We just don't need to stay stuck. So, the fear can be great, though, and we can create a false esteem. A false esteem comes from that pain of us saying, I'm okay, when we're not okay, when we were hurt. There's some kind of bug flying around in here, isn't there? So that false esteem is held, so that we can protect ourselves, because we were hurt, but we acted like we weren't. and that developed that false esteem. So when we create that false esteem that says we know better, as the biggest fear may be shame, and false esteem, shame and false esteem go hand in hand, and we just rationalize and justify the false esteem. Hi, Dory Lama. Thank you very much for the hearts. So we rationalize and we'll justify the false esteem. I know that I used to like want things in relationships when I was single, and then I would like rationalize and justify if I wanted to spend more time with somebody, if I was having somebody with emotional unavailability in my life and I wanted to spend more time, I was afraid to ask to spend more time with somebody, so I would rationalize and justify, well, I've got these kids, I really don't need to spend more time with them. You're from Nepal? Well, welcome. It's good. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that something I say will help you somewhat. Thank you all for those hearts and everything. I just love those. So we can recognize it in others who hate to see one's light. This is the biggest. Oh, I've missed a sentence. Sorry about that. I get excited when I get on here and I see hearts and things. I don't know if I'll get to come to Nepal. That would be cool. So we're fortunate there are so many resources for us to stay stuck. The fear can be great, though, and we can create that false esteem. And the false esteem goes hand in hand, and we will rationalize and justify the false esteem. Good morning, Deepak. So we can recognize it in others who hate to see someone's light. Have you seen those people who hate to see someone's light? They will talk badly about someone that has a light inside and project their fear and inadequacies and thoughts about this person to bring doubt about those who have a real esteem. So somebody with a false esteem will talk poorly about people that they don't feel, that they're trying to bring back down if they're jealous. Because jealousy is the thing of lack too, because it's not realizing your own value is just as important as somebody else's. I used to be jealous. I know this. That there's room for all of us here at this table, but I used to sit at the table and be like, she's more interesting than I am. And I would just focus on that instead of focusing on the people who would want to talk to me, right? And I had to learn that I am good enough. I have my clients put that on their mirrors sometimes. And I've got clients right now doing exercises saying I am, and then the alphabet of self-esteem, going down the line and getting new dialogue. Because where our dialogue goes, our words are expressions of our thoughts. And if we want different experiences, we have to have different words, because our feelings are expressed through our body language, our posture, and our actions. And so we need that to align, that our words and our actions align together through our thoughts and our feelings. So let me get back to my sentence. Have you ever had someone tell you something about someone and they were doing the exact same thing secretly? Have you ever had that? That's part of a false esteem. That's part of someone is dimming someone else's light. Sometimes it's in relationships. Sometimes somebody will be talking about somebody else cheating in relationships, maybe a celebrity, maybe somebody else. I've seen this before. They'll be like, oh, Lance Armstrong's cheated on his wife with Sheryl Crow. And then next thing you know, they're cheating on me. It's like, oh, yeah. So sometimes these things happen, and that's not an alignment, because we really know what's going on, So I've had these, and that's a wounded person too. Because we're getting down to the part where we talk about trust and truth. We're getting close to that part. So I've had these deeply wounded folks with false esteem talk to me about those things, and they're deeply wounded with false esteem. They will often prey on empaths. But here's the thing with empaths, is some people are just not healed yet from these wounds because they just didn't know how. And so they still feel they feel closer to someone who has the same wounds as them. Does that make sense? So sometimes that's what empath is they just feel closer to people who have those same wounds. And so they're trying to heal their own wounds with the same thing, But we really need somebody who can help us to empower ourselves to heal these wounds, because we'll keep telling ourselves the same story. You see? So we need to tell ourselves a different story to write a different story. How can we write a different story if we don't tell ourselves? I'll leave a comment on your post. Check. Okay, ABC, thank you. Thank you. Now, if any of you want to reach out to me, you have to reach out to me through the Google. I may not see your comments through other ways. I had this happen before where somebody left a comment and I never saw it. I don't know where it went. And so sometimes if people want to communicate with me, you have to communicate through that Gmail address that's in my description, okay? So if I don't see your comment, don't think I'm ignoring you. Sometimes I have not seen them before. So the reality is that we've all made choices and mistakes that may have not led to our highest good. That's the reality of things. We will either learn and grow from them or repeat them thinking that that is our destiny, and we may wither up and die, and hide if we don't die. But we may wither up and hide because it does affect our health if we're dealing with people and we're settling because of that lack mentality. Healing requires for us to, the purple shirt, I know, I love this purple shirt. It's so soft too. Healing requires for us to look at these things. And while we may feel shame while we're looking at these things that we thought, the things where we maybe didn't hit the mark that we wanted to hit, that we fell short. It's not a failure. It's just a growth opportunity. It's a learning experience because everybody fails before they win. It's Wednesday, and it's also the spring equinox, and it's also the new moon. So there's new possibilities, and that's what we need to focus on, is that new possibilities, and believe in these new possibilities. But we have to rid ourselves of the lack mentality coming back, right? So how do we do this? This is how we do it. Healing requires for us to look at these things, and while we may feel shame, but to finally let our shame go, you have to heal it, to feel it, and let it go. And it may water your soul. You may cry. And that's all the tears are, is watering your soul. There's nothing weak or wrong with crying. If you cry for days, I suggest, going to the doctor. Maybe it's a chemical imbalance or something like that. If you cry for days and days and days. I know that I have, and I had to go get the Wellbutrin, or something, because I grieve. I lost my son in 2011. So I was grieving 4 years after, and I cried every day till I got fever blisters on my face. And it's like, oh no, we can't have fever blisters on my face. So living single, yes. And so how does healing work? That's where we're at now, is talking about the healing. Healing requires for us to look at these things, and while we may feel shame, but to finally let go of that shame. So we have to see and hear ourselves and quit dismissing ourselves. We can't think or buy or compromise our way out of old wounds. We just can't. And so looking at our whys will make us wise, right? The WHYS's, apostrophe S, will make us WISE when we figure out and write our own stories. Then we'll be able to own what's ours and let go of what is someone else's pain, and quit minimizing and hurting ourselves because of other people's pain. So we must learn to trust our adult selves and heal our wounded child or adult. We can't blame someone else and empower ourselves. We just can't. And so judgment is a learned behavior, and we are able to not, what? Me too. Okay. So judgment is a learned behavior, and we're not blaming and judging in our highest and most authentic essence. That's not what we do. That doesn't make us feel good. So healing our wounds allows us to have compassion and feelings for others and develop boundaries that don't put us out as a doormat or a proverbial on the proverbial chopping block, right? Is that when we experience lack, we put up with stuff that we don't have to put up with. Being a doormat, feeling like we're put on the chopping block. When we grow back to our childlike state, not childish, but childlike, they're different. Some of us are childish when our wounds aren't healed, just simply because that inner child is wounded. It's not that it's a moral deficiency or anything like that, as long as we're willing to grow and heal on top of our soul, Really, it is very hard. It is, because it requires us to look at ourselves and look at our pain. And a lot of people are trying to distract from our pain. My specialty is in addiction recovery and codependency and grief, because it's those things that we're either, trying to cope with things, or we lack self-esteem because we've dealt with either addiction or mental health issues from others, and we didn't get our own identity. And so codependency allows us to identify ourselves without having others see ourselves the way we want to see ourselves, rather than looking for other people to define who and how we are and validate ourselves. And then there's grief underneath all of that. I hope we do get to talk regularly, ABC. Did you subscribe to my channel? I hope so, because I want to see you here again. So when we grow back to our childlike state, and and we remember we were put here to love, to see things innocently, and to honor our feelings, because when we were in our childlike state, that's what we did, is we just loved. And then honoring our feelings, sometimes I've seen children, yes, I have done, yay, thank you. So sometimes I've seen children who met adults that they didn't like, and we're forced to like those adults. And I don't believe that we need to do that. I think that children need to be honored. And when they learn to honor, when they're not, our parents taught us, so this is handed down, share your toys. If we just got a toy, we didn't want to share a toy. We're like that as adults, aren't we? Like when we first get a toy as an adult, we don't want to share it. Well, why do kids want to share it? Why do we not honor kids and not make them share things that they don't? They just get the toy. I know that I'm get something new. I'm not trying to say, here, you play with it now. I'm like, no, I'm going to play with this. And then after the new wears off, then I'll be like, oh, you like that? Okay. I may give it away even. Who knows? This is, we remember we were put here to love, to see things innocently, and to honor our feelings. And this is what's meant for you. So wealth is the ability to fully experience life. This is what Henry David Thoreau said, is wealth is the ability to fully experience life. Whether it's wealth in love, and you can have all of it, wealth in love, wealth in money, wealth in all of this. When your health is your wealth. If I have nothing else in the morning time, when I get up, I always try to get up and be grateful. And if I have my health, I go up on the roof of my house. I've got some stairs that goes up on the roof of my house. I'm out there saying, Your Majesty, looking at the stars, because it's just so beautiful and majestic, and I can see. I can hear music. I can hear birds. These things, like Augmendino describes, the greatest gift of all. And these gifts allow us to expand upon our other gifts. Bernard, hello, it's good to see you. Thanks for these hearts. Who sent in the hearts? Those who got taught individualism as a child, which makes us not share our stuff. Those who got taught to share will share as an adult. Well, it's good to share. I like being generous myself. But I don't think that when kids don't like somebody that we push them to like somebody. I don't think when they don't want to share that we make them share. That we don't honor them, that we don't honor their feelings, because our feelings weren't honored. Because what do we do as an adult? We end up hoarding this stuff if we couldn't have it as kids, sometimes, or we don't want to share, because sometimes people have defiant disorders, which, or whatever. But sometimes it makes us not want to share because it's a programming. So to be able to talk, reasonably with kids, and when they're toddlers, I don't know. Each kid's different. That's really what I do know, is each child is different. So some may be receptive to sharing. I don't think we make kids share, though. I don't think that's, if I had things to do, I wouldn't do that. One time I gave one of my son's things away, and he didn't like it, and I saw the horror, and everything, and it was like, oh, and that's how I learned that lesson, is I don't do it all. I'm not the, feel free to, okay. So in summary of what we talked about today with the lack mentality, we just have to feel it out. I think that we do need to learn to ask our kids, or things. And a lot of us learn by trial and error, as they say. So I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that I think that we need to teach kids to honor their feelings so they're not second guessing themselves. Because there's a lot of us adults that are second guessing ourselves. Kids that were taught to second guessing themselves will be adults that grow up to second guess themselves too when they feel like they're doing things wrong all the time. So, summary and lack mentality is it's deeply rooted belief shaped by past experiences of not having, the pain of not having, whether that's love, money, security, or opportunity. It often comes from childhood environments, family patterns, or even transgenerational trauma, where fear, insecurity, or scarcity were unconsciously passed down. Thank you for those. This mindset keeps us stuck in a loop of seeking proof that something is missing or could be taken away, creating fear, overcompensation like overspending or hoarding, or emotional patterns such as shame and false self-esteem. Even when life improves, the nervous system may expect loss, waiting for that other shoe to fall, or hoping for the best and expecting the worst. This is sending mixed signals. Your intentions and motivations have to be aligned. We can't just have good intentions like doing the affirmations, putting an affirmation on something and expecting it's going to change without putting an action behind that. It's just doing one small thing. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It could just be one small thing. If you felt like nothing was never enough that you did as a child, though, it can kind of paralyze us and feel like I got to do something grandiose, and you don't. It's breaking the cycles and interrupting patterns. So healing begins with awareness, understanding that where these beliefs come from, recognizing what is truly ours versus the inherited, and choosing not to reinforce those patterns. True growth comes from us trusting our adult selves, releasing shame, and reconnecting with our authentic, compassionate, and whole nature. Being able to laugh at ourselves rather than trying to hide these things in shame, hide our character. You're a wonderful character. So when we let go of the fear of lack, we open ourselves fully to fully experiencing life, rather than trying to protect ourselves from it. Because when we're in lack, we're trying to protect ourselves all the time from losing something or the fear of not getting what we want. That's a lot of work. So here's 3 tips to overcome lack mentality, and then we'll get into the breathing, okay? So 1 is get curious about your why. Instead of judging your behaviors of overspending, holding on, or fearing loss, ask yourself instead, what am I trying to feel or avoid? Thank you for those hearts. Understanding the root of your patterns turns awareness into wisdom and helps you to separate your truth from inherited beliefs. Your truth may be different. I had to learn when I did my own inventory, is this something my mother would get mad about or something that I get mad about? Because at some point we have to split off on our own autonomy, And so 2, stop reinforcing the story of scarcity. We just have to stop ourselves. Sometimes we have to be this kind adult to ourselves. It's a pity I don't understand English. Otherwise, I'll hang out with you until the morning. Oh, thank you, no dear. It's okay. I'm glad that you joined tonight. I'm afraid Nepalese would be so hard for me to learn. So 3 is build trust with your adult self. Build that trust. It's like looking for evidence of reasons that you've done good, not reasons that you're claiming shame. So you're no longer a version of you who expected that original lack. Practice making decisions and setting boundaries and honoring your feelings from a grounded present place. You might have to get somebody to help teach you that. I did. And this is how you rewire safety and self-trust. So if you do need one-on-one sessions to learn how to do those things, and my email address is in the box there, and I have a few programs and things. But my intention was to hopefully help someone this evening with something that I said, and I hope that it did. And if it didn't help someone this evening, if this post replays, that it will help someone then. So I want us to breathe in. We're going to do 5 breaths, and I want us to breathe in abundance. Thank you for those hearts. I want us to breathe in abundance and then hold that mindset that you're healthy, wealthy, and wise and blessed beyond measure from the ground to the skies. That's my earring in it. Oh, thank you, Osnet. Well, okay, I'm not a trans lady. What was it the other day? I saw a post that I liked. I'm trans financial, that I'm a poor woman and I'm a rich woman in a poor woman's body. That's what it is. So anyway, we're going to breathe in that abundance because I don't have as much money as I would like to have yet, but I'm still having fun in this life and I'm not afraid. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight, who are here tonight, and for who have participated in this. Thank you, Osnet. So, and who have participated in this, however you participated, however long you participated, I have much appreciation and gratitude for you. And I want to thank you so much. All right, well, thank you, Osnet. Thank you very much. They're not drawn on, but I did have some work done on my eyebrows. So thank you for noticing. All right, so now we are going to, nobody gets my power, darlings. So now we are going to breathe in that abundance, that, we are blessed for beyond measure, and just knowing that you're healthy, wealthy, and wise and blessed beyond measure from the ground to the skies. And I hope you have a wonderful new moon and write down something that you want to achieve and stay focused on you and what you are gaining. Okay? There was a gnat. So let's breathe in that abundance, hold that right here of how it feels when we achieve. Because you have achieved, if you're sitting here, you have achieved things. And how does that feel? And then just letting the brain have the oxygen, because the brain loves oxygen, and your cells regenerate. So you're going to regulate and regenerate. Just hear what you hear in the silence of your breath. You'll probably feel your heartbeat. And think of your intentions and motivations for your whys. Your WHY apostrophe S, whys make you wise, WISE. So let's breathe it in, darlings, just 5, okay? I'm not going to have you on this all night doing that. So let's just take a deep breath in. Fill up your tummy. Notice how your shoulders rise, your chest is open, your shoulders are up and back. And hold it. 4 counts if you can, or as long as you can that's comfortable. And release gently and slowly out of your mouth. Long breath out. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Breathe. Hold it. And release. Just 2 more. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Last one. Breathe. Hold it. And release. Alrighty. Hello, Catacrystal. It's nice to meet you, Dixon. I like that name, Dixon. It's good to meet you. We just finished this live in Batlive. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I've almost been on here for an hour now. I hope that you'll watch some of the replays. If you haven't subscribed, if you like, what this kind of topic is, then please subscribe and watch these videos. I hope that something that I say is able to help somebody. That's my intention when I come on here, is I know a lot of the things, there are these struggles I've had to, oh, thank you very much, Cata Cristo. A lot of the things I talk about down here is stuff that I struggled with, and I just didn't know what I knew until I learned it. So I'm trying to raise this vibration that we understand that you are so smart and you are so worthy and valuable. And sometimes we just don't know that because we haven't learned it yet. It wasn't a learned behavior. So sometimes we just have to unlearn those old behaviors to learn something new, to feel good, because it's our we were supposed to feel good, y'all, and not at anyone's expense, but to be return to that childlike state, that sense of wonder, that sense of peace, and that sense of not feeling like we're too much, and knowing that if we do feel like we're too much, that doesn't mean that we're not good enough, because you were born good enough, darlings. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for subscribing, because I want to empower you, to help. I can't empower you, but I want to help you empower yourself. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired, y'all. I got up at 3:30 this morning, and so it's almost, I am getting tired, but I want to thank you so much for being here. I had a good time, and I would hang out another hour if I wasn't so tired, but it's going to start telling me that I'm losing time here in a minute. So thank you once again, and when you subscribe, I'm going to be back on here Friday night at 7 Central Standard Time. Good night, Cata Cristo. I'm going to be back on here at 7 Central Standard Time Friday night. I typically come on here Monday nights and Friday nights and Sunday mornings about 9 o'clock in the morning sometime, and Wednesday mornings. But today I did nighttime because I've had a busy day today. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for being here. And much love and appreciation to you. Bye.